Liberty family, I want to comment on the beautiful North Face jackets that we all received in December 2017. Over 2,000 of them. I love North Face gear, and I have a good friend who's been a lifer at North Face. But their refusal to make products for Innovex, a company in our industry, is way over the line. It's not just fashionable virtue signaling. It's hypocritical, wrong, and in fact damaging. It is hypocritical because these jackets are made out of oil and gas and made with oil and gas. And their main target market, outdoor recreation, which I'm an enthusiast of, only became and remains a possible human endeavor because of oil and gas. Before our industry began, say 200 years ago, global human life expectancy was around 30 years. Today it's 72. And 90% of humanity lived on less than $2 a day. Not many mountain climbers, skiers, snowboarders, hikers, or recreational backpackers in those days. There was no spare time, no extra wealth, or the modern transportation necessary to pursue any of these endeavors. All of these endeavors today are only made possible by the dramatic transformations of the modern world that were enabled by oil and gas. Take mountain climbing, for example. My brother and I are big fans of this sport. The boots we climb in, they're made out of oil and gas. The ropes we use to protect ourselves, made out of oil and gas. Ice tools when you're climbing ice, made out of oil and gas. The protective gear we use on mountains, all are made out of precision metals. The mining, processing, and transportation of those materials to make these pieces, impossible without oil and gas. North Face claims its stance is based on climate change concerns, but that is not consistent with the facts. The largest factor driving down U.S. greenhouse gas emissions by far has been the technology advancements from our industry that enabled the American shale revolution. Because of that, natural gas now supplies 40% of U.S. electricity, rapidly displacing coal and driving current U.S. greenhouse gas emissions on a per-person basis to the lowest level since before I was born. Global progress in greenhouse gas emissions is also being led by our efforts. Outside the U.S., coal still dominates in electricity production, but after 2 decades of rapid increases, global coal consumption has plateaued the last several years, thanks to U.S. natural gas exports driving up global availability and dramatically lowering the cost of natural gas. Of course, wind and solar are contributing there also, but far less than natural gas. I have worked in my career in fusion energy, solar energy, and geothermal energy. I don't care where energy comes from, as long as it is affordable, reliable, clean, and lifts up human lives. This is where the North Face position is damaging, in addition to hypocritical and wrong. 1/3 of humanity still cooks with wood, dung, and agricultural waste, solid biomass. The indoor air pollution, smoke from this kills 3 million folks every year, according to the World Health Organization. My family saw this firsthand in Tanzania 18 months ago, where 85% of the population still cooks with wood, dung, and ag waste. However, surging U.S. propane exports, sold globally as LPG, is the road out of energy poverty and brings clean burning stoves, which also saves an hour a day that was previously used to gather wood for cooking fuel. Tanzanians all want to make the jump to clean cooking fuels, and many are. Further, 1 billion people have no access to electricity, and another billion only intermittent access. Widespread energy poverty also leads to the lack of access to clean drinking water, access to medical care, malnutrition, and poor education. This is the global energy crisis of our time. Why do you never hear about this? Perhaps from North Face, it is because these desperately poor folks don't buy fancy jackets. Sadly, problems of the world's poor, and the poor in our country, simply rank low on most people's lists. Not so at Liberty. We are committed to bettering human lives. All this and more will be covered in our upcoming Liberty Sustainability Report. Of course, we also talk about climate change, another global energy challenge, and our efforts to address it. It is real and global, but even the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change recognizes that the impacts of climate change today are far smaller and slower moving than the urgent energy poverty crisis. As long as it is fashionable to myopically focus only on climate change, the tragic and preventable loss of life, health, and opportunity that accompany energy poverty will be tragically ignored. This is wrong and cannot stand. We all must speak out about this. Shame on North Face. Oh, and check out my new coat epoxy jacket. Their sustainability focus aligns nicely with Liberty, improving human lives. They support programs focused on fighting poverty and malaria, helping bring education to poor rural areas, and helping refugees. We may see a coat epoxy jacket in our future. I sure hope so. Take care, Liberty family.